do that. How about that? Can you hear us now? Okay, they can hear us. Can we hear them? Apparently not.
It's been a learning experience.
Well, yeah, it's just going so well. It helps if I turn their audio on.
That'd be nice.
Right.
Oh, hello.
No, so there we can. It's highlighting that they're talking.
They're lighting up like their frames should be talking.
Oh, my head just twisted off. Hello. Can you hear me? Look at that. Wait. Wow.
That's what everyone's tuning into this stream for.
Yeah,
Weird video
sensible
antics.
discussion.
It's great because the people on the stream can actually hear them, but we can't hear in the room.
So the stream can hear
I can
it,
hear
but
Huw.
no one in the room can.
Yep.
Can you hear me, Huw?
I can hear you, Pat.
It's a comfy chair, at least.
Sort of. My elbows don't fit in the same time. You have to put them above.
Maybe just in person.
Plan C. Let's try this way. All right, talk now, guys.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hooray! Technology, what a wonderful thing.
I think we can start then.
All right, let's actually get started then. Okay, so introductions again. If you're watching on the TVs from left to right, top to bottom, we have Matt Gallagher, Adam Campbell, Huw Rowlands, and Pat Brown. And everybody can hear everybody now. So, let's kick off our panel. So today's topic of discussion, now that we're finally here, is what do you want to see at WWDC? As we know, WWDC 21 is online again this year. It's coming up in a couple of weeks, I think, or 3 weeks. So we'll go on the monitor order for now, but we'll start with what are the top 3 things that you'd like to see this year at WWDC? And it could be anything.
I mean, I assume we're not talking about hardware. We want software because we're programmers.
Well, no, it could be products. It could be,
I'm definitely mentioning that MacBook 16-inch. Hopefully M2.
You're sitting there waiting for a new dev machine, are you?
Yes. Discovered recently that the 13-inch M1s only support one external monitor, so...
Well, yeah, they've only released low-end Mac M1 hardware. So the low end's only ever supported like small numbers of screens, crummy numbers of ports.
I'm really interested to see what they do with like any kind of expansion or beyond 16 gig. That'd be great.
But do you actually think it's going to come up at dub? Sorry.
Oh, no, go. I was going to say, I want to see, async await stuff.
Yeah, the whole set of concurrency proposals that's been discussed in Swift Evolution is definitely something I'm hoping to see, because I think it has a possibility to sort of... It depends when you play with it, but it might impact how I write a lot of my code. Not just async await, but the actor proposals as well, like how do you get things back to the main thread? And if you can simply flag classes as, a main thread actor, then theoretically the language would handle all of that for you and eliminate a lot of the hassle of doing that. So yeah, on a software level, that's absolutely something I'm really keen on.
Yeah, I want to see if they come forward with any strategy on how all the new async proposals fit into Combine and their frameworks.
Do we know if
Combine
there's...
didn't really get any changes last year. So I'm thinking async await will hopefully fix that. But let's see.
I mean, do we know if there's any overlap between the teams that do combine and the teams that are pushing concurrency through Swift? I don't always feel like there is.
I'm not going to guess on what's happening internally at Apple. Yeah. The other one I had on my list was, more SwiftUI uplift and just more work on how it you can easily adopt SwiftUI in your UIKit apps and vice versa.
In general, are you hoping to see more... Sorry, I feel like I'm talking to you, Adam, but I should be talking to the other panelists as well.
You have to look at the TV microphone.
Are you hoping to see new features, or are you hoping to see... Because one of the things I desperately want is like bug fixes across the board. I still feel like I'm hitting bugs all over SwiftUI, Combine, these sorts of things.
Yeah, I've seen bugs. I've also seen gaps. You go here?
So where's it?
I was just thinking, absolutely, I've seen bugs and gaps, and it's time for a... Oh, am I too loud? Shut up, Huw.
No, that was a gesture for Rob to put his finger on the Touch ID for the MacBook.
Okay. Bugs and gaps in SwiftUI, and it's time for a bit of a refinement, and perhaps SwiftUI is definitely needing that. We've got a great year last year. That same momentum would be really cool.
Yep.
Yeah,
Everyone tends to say
like
version
updating
3.
the old frameworks to like Combine and SwiftUI. Like the AV Foundation stuff, I really feel needs to go and use publishers and stuff.
Yeah, that's difficult, kind of using a lot of the old object-oriented frameworks in a slightly more kind of functional declarative world. It all feels a bit strange. You say AV Foundation, but there's any number of kind of settings, the pasteboard, all of these things that just feel really weird, just trying to use them inside declarative. Do you find yourself using SwiftUI? Are you still writing UIKit primarily?
In my work, no SwiftUI yet, but I've dabbled.
Huw, how does that impact you? I mean, obviously, if you're using SwiftUI, these are going to be the things you're looking for. But if you're using UIKit, are you hoping for ergonomic improvements, or are you hoping for bridging, or are you not caring?
In real life, like my job, I'm mainly doing UIKit. So it's really just experimenting on the weekend when I'm doing SwiftUI, and the experimentation, I'm running into lots of little gaps and problems where I've got to fix it myself by jumping back into UIKit. That's where I'm going.
Is anyone hoping for more UIKit classes? Entrench you deeper?
I'm not really.
Silence speaks volumes
I come from
there.
React Native background, so using UIKit, I never really did.
I did like a lot of the advances that I've been seeing in UIKit. I had the fun of wrapping some certain things in SwiftUI, and having those action methods on control has made things a lot easier to be able to just add a closure onto UI controls for different state changes. So that it is good to see that uplifted, even still.
All right, so as we know, WWDC is online only again this year. What do we think of the new format compared to the old one? Huw, let's start with you. What do you think of the new WWDC?
I love it. I thought it was great. It was much better than watching all my friends go around sunny San Francisco while I sit around in cold Australia. It is. I like that the presentation kind of shorter. They're as long as they need to be. They don't go on. They have a chance to cut them and edit them and prepare them really well. I think it's good, and I know that some of the Apple engineers really like it as well. So yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
don't know, I have an instinctive aversion to well-edited stuff. I'm kind of accustomed to people putting on, you know, talks full of tech problems and...
Like today.
Just that kind of authentic feel. So I'm a little sad that a bit of that is gone. Just people, you know, can you hear me? You know, am I doing this right? I get that it's smoother and it's easier to get to the point, but I'm old.
That's fun for when like the conference is on, but later on I'm watching everything I want it to be. Just get it out.
I find by that point all I read are the transcripts anyway, so
Yeah.
I skip the video entirely.
I was going to say in one of the later questions, like, what do you want them to do differently? I want them to get more written material out there. And just, yeah.
I like the new format. I like that there are shorter targeted videos. You don't have to watch, you know, a 30-minute to hour presentation. There are some really snappy 10-minute ones that really get to the point of what's new and what's not.
I do like that they gave a lot of the presenters the ability to bring along something personal to them and sit it on their desks. I thought that was a fun little touch. People bringing like really bizarre bits of, you know, tech arcana and...
Yeah, that was one of the fun things to watch for in every video. What is that person's thing of interest?
So I guess on that subject then, you touched on things you'd like to see differently, like more transcripts. What else would we like to see Apple change with regards to WWDC?
I almost feel like they have room with all the well-edited video to kind of backfill some content, like tutorial content or things that have kind of fallen through the gaps of time. But there's you're going to get me started on documentation, but there's a lot more things that could be documented or shown or taught.
So we had a question come through from the audience. Do we think there'll be Apple glasses released this year? Like obviously the promo material had app icons reflected in glasses. Is that too obvious, we think, or?
I think it's a tease.
No, I think we'd know more about it. I don't think the Apple glasses is something that's going to be easy to drop. Whether or not they drop more APIs for it, I mean, ARKit exists, and they've been slowly building that up over a couple years. But I think we would know more about glasses if it was 6 months away.
I think it's a bit intentional, like they want you to keep thinking about it, but I don't think they'll drop it.
You know, Apple tend not to release hardware at WWDC. It's a big event already without anything dropping. So they can rely purely on the kind of software innovations and, hey, it's going to be iOS, what are we up to, 15? I think they know that they can rely just on that, and if they have something that's going to drop shortly after, I mean, I think they're happy now having tech events every month if they need it. So I think they'd be happy to have a tech event in July or August.
That doesn't preclude them from releasing hardware. I think if there was going to be any hardware, it was going to be a Mac.
Which way is that on? That's on. I think we are all expecting, as we said at the start, new MacBooks this year. Do we think there's going to be any other hardware categories? If not glass, then probably not. No?
I'm certainly not expecting it.
Yeah, I think they got a lot of the other stuff out of the way last month or two.
Yeah, AirTags people have been waiting for that for 2.5, 3 years. Weren't there like copyright numbers from at least 2019 on some of the AirTag hardware? So that kind of shows there's a huge lead time on these things. And if there was anything truly innovative, people would be rumoring it, even if their rumors were wrong. I think hardware-wise, if there's anything, it'll be an M1 Mac, but I doubt it. I still kind of feel, what are they going to do next? They definitely need to release M1 Macs that have yeah, pro capabilities, target a pro audience, but are they ready to release that? The world's full of chip shortages. I'd be surprised. I think it's going to be second half, well into the second half of the year before they do that.
Shattering my dreams.
Sorry.
So we had another question come through from the audience. Let me send that up. Ed asks, the iPad Pro with the M1 chip is a screamer. What iPadOS changes do you think we might see to leverage that?
I mean, every year people say better iPad multitasking. It hasn't happened. Absolutely, if you were going to use the resources on an iPad, it would be in some way better multitasking. Maybe Apple will finally relent and let you at least run XPC processes in the sandbox, so you can spawn child processes, because there's already, Panic this week complained that, developing a text editor for an iPad is useless because you can't spawn a child process. I think that would be the sort of thing, if Apple wanted to mend some bridges, or at least set up the ability to use the iPad Pro in a pro sense, that would be like the minimum step to doing it. I mean, just running a child process inside the sandbox. It's not like a big ask. But, do Apple even care? There's a possibility that they just use the iPad for prototyping new technologies, 120 hertz displays, mini LED, micro LED displays. Maybe, that's its purpose. It's just the really low distribution hardware.
So I guess the obvious one that might be for the iPad that everybody in this room particularly keeps talking about is Xcode for iPadOS. Assuming that even is going to be a thing, would any of you use it?
Nah.
Like, would you make your M1 or your M1 iPad your daily driver, I guess is the question to that.
No.
Yeah, until I started using an iPad with an Apple Pencil, I didn't really have a use case for an iPad. When you use an Apple Pencil, it's suddenly there's something it can do that a Mac can't. But absolutely the worst thing on an iPad for me is always typing, and that's fundamentally what programming is as an interaction model.
Huw and Pat, what do you guys think? Would you use Xcode on an iPad if you had one? Might make great for coding on holidays?
I was going to say maybe for a presentation.
Yeah. I'm not sure I want to code
Demonstrations,
on the
presentations,
holidays.
yeah.
I mean, if you could come up with a kind of programming that could be like multi-touch, maybe, but I think that's kind of really out of the box thinking. I don't think traditional Xcode development would be better. In fact, I think every aspect of it would be worse on an iPad. Swift Playgrounds exists, and you can do that, and you can use that for prototyping tiny little bits of code. I think about the apps that I write, and it's like no aspect of that build pipeline would be better on an iPad. Yes, the chip is faster than the one I have in my MacBook Pro, but how do you go into the simulator and muck about with its files? How do you delete your derived data? How do you call into Fastlane? These things are not going to work without a lot of help.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where they go with iPadOS. I don't know. I'm not actually sure on their strategy there. They obviously kind of forked iOS to have iPadOS, and the Mac has gained the ability to launch native iOS apps. But I'm interested to see what they do next with iPadOS. But I kind of had no idea what exact direction it's heading. Like a lot of pro apps were released recently, like Photoshop and more power-hungry things, but yeah, I'm not sure where it's going in the kind of productivity space.
So it sounds like we kind of feel that an iPad is great for some tasks that you can't do on a traditional Mac, but not really on a Mac. So no one here is working on building Xcode for iPadOS. Great, that's good to know. A more specific question from our audience, and probably not one that you can answer, but maybe to speculate about what might be coming. Do you think core data will get a replacement in WWDC? Or what would you like to see in a core data replacement?
would we like to see replaced?
Do we want to go Swift native, for example? Combine based? Like, how do we think we might go with this?
I mean, I feel like Apple started an interesting kind of project. If you have a look at the document-based life cycle in SwiftUI, for like managing the entire app top-down, just kind of giving your data over to it and letting it deal with stuff. But it's so limited. I would like to see them, that's for document controllers. I would like to see them replace other major sort of aspects of app development, but I can't think of any, like, we've mentioned AV framework and like media players and these sorts of things, and like deeper integration into various libraries, but
I almost want to hand the mic back to Matt for a bonus question.
I would probably like to see better abstraction, so I could easily sort of switch between non-structured data and core data. Like, I know that is sort of hard to do, but even just mocking stuff, I find I've got to do a bit to use core data, and I just want kind of better sort of.
So more protocol based than subclassing.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So we've got one last question. Given that we're now going into WWDC and what we want to see, do you have any recommendations of any sessions that people should go back to from the last year's WWDC or the year before, or any technologies they should brush up on heading into this WWDC?
Well, I think if you're forward-looking, you might want to brush up on where SwiftUI and Combine is at, so you can see what's changing and what direction everything's heading in. I found the ARKit stuff really useful, just because we were looking into it at the same time last year. What they were doing with depth and LiDAR was really, really neat.
My favorite thing coming out of WWDC last year wasn't actually from WWDC. It was a podcast that John Sandell did with two Apple developers, Josh Schaefer and Eliza Block. I think it was behind the scenes in SwiftUI, talking about how Xcode was being built to handle live editing of code and updating SwiftUI. If you're interested in kind of the craziness that Apple is trying to work on to try and make the developer experience better, it was very, very enlightening. Even though, you can sit in front of things like SwiftUI and go, well, these 20 things about it are glitching or not working or forcing me to restart the preview. It's still kind of fascinating to think about the challenges that they really are trying to solve.
That was a really good podcast episode, and everyone should go and listen to that. That was really good. I was thinking about some of the applications of SwiftUI outside of just of ordinary apps, like the widgets and sort of applets, for want of a better word. I think there might be something in that, and what else they're going to do later on this year or next year.
So more deeper OS integration then?
Yeah, and other share sheets, applets. I think widgets can only be done in SwiftUI. So that sort of area.
Pat, are you on the SwiftUI train too? Looking forward to the next release?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we might call it a night there. Thank you very much, everybody.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment to wrap up for the night.